Namaskar. In today's class, we are going to study Shakespeare's Sonnet 55 of Class 10 CBSE syllabus. Okay, before watching this video, please read the description box in full. And now give me a moment to adjust my screen. I'm sure you're able to see the screen clearly. Okay. Now, the title is Not Marble Nor the Gilded Monuments. Sonnet 55 by William Shakespeare. And let's go straight to the passage. And give me, yes. Now we begin the sonnet. We will understand and appreciate the sonnet as well as analyze the poem's language, the figures of speech, the theme, the tone, and the hidden deeper meanings. Now, because it is Shakespeare's passage, it requires a lot of explanation and takes time to understand. But this sonnet is one of the easiest ones. I have read so many plays and sonnets of Shakespeare's, but this is one of the easiest ones. What is a sonnet? You have to understand that first. Sonnet is a short composition of 14 lines, okay? And it's normally reserved for romances, love, and the theories. You must have read Ozymandias. Ozymandias also has been written in the sonnet form, but Ozymandias is an exception. It deals with a tragedy. It doesn't deal with romance or anything. I'm talking about the Ozymandias written by Shelley. But here, this is not dealing with love, but it is actually sending out a powerful message. This sonnet explores the themes of time, memory, and the eternal nature of poetry. Okay. Now, as we proceed further, you will clearly understand what I am talking about. Now, let's take a look at the first stanza. It says, not marble nor the gilded gold, monuments. Okay, now let's take a look at the first stanza. Not marble nor the gilded monuments of princes shall outlive this powerful rhyme, but you shall shine more bright in these contents than unswept stone besmeared with sluggish time. Now, let's take a look at this. The first question that I would like to ask you is, why do you think the rich and powerful people get monuments and statues erected in their memory? We see thousands of statues of thousands of people. Why do they get them erected? They get them erected for the simple reason is so that they can be remembered by the future generations who will be born on this earth after their death. That is the principal reason. That means they want their memory to continue forever. They want to immortalize themselves. But Shakespeare says that neither the marble statues of these great persons, their well-decorated tombs, memorials, which are covered with thick layers of gold, have eternal life. One day or the other, they will be reduced to dust. But what will survive? What will survive, he says, is poetry. Now, why does he say that? That is the essence of this poem, sonnet. Okay, the statues are made of stone and the monuments are covered with gold, etc. But they are covered with gold to give an extra layer of shielding from the vagaries of weather, nature, etc. Okay, but Shakespeare says that time will destroy them, but my verse will endure time. Why? He says that art and literature is always passed on from generation to generation. In fact, if you will see, this sonnet was written roughly 800 years ago. Roughly 800, 700 years ago. It has been 700 years, yet we are studying it today. So, in one sense, what Shakespeare said 700 years ago is coming true. That is why you are sitting here, and that is why I am sitting here. So, a statue built 700 years ago won't survive this long. In fact, you go and look at the monuments, they are surviving today, but either they are in ruins or in a bad shape. They need constant maintenance to keep them up to date. But art and literature don't. This is what Shakespeare is saying. He's suggesting the idea of immortality of art and literature. He says that his sonnets have great power to survive in this mortal world until the world is in existence. That means he says that my poetry, or agreed, he's using the word my poetry, but he's generally talking about art and literature. But we can't be sure that he's praising his own poetry. That could also be, you can even draw that conclusion also. Inference, you can draw that. In this sonnet, he refers to a person. If you will look at line 3, but you shall shine more bright in these contents. Now, who is this you? This you happens to be a friend of Shakespeare's, and as far as I can recollect, he was perhaps a soldier. So it was in his honor that Shakespeare wrote these lines. So he says, not marble nor the gilded monuments of princes shall outlive this powerful rhyme. That means that this powerful rhyme of mine will survive the marble or the gilded monuments built by princes in their memory, honor, name. This powerful rhyme, that means this sonnet, this poetry will survive all those things. And you shall shine more bright in these contests. He calls it a contest between his poetry and the monuments, the statues. So he says that you shall shine more bright in these contents than unswept stone besmeared with sluttish time. That means, yes, sorry, I misread the word contents as contests. But yes, you can even call it a contest also. It is not wrong. Why? It is a contest that who will survive the longer. So he says that you will survive in these contents. In these contents. I think even my slip of tongue also actually added to the contest. Again, contest, no, context. Then unswept stone besmeared with sluttish time. That means those stone. Now here when he talks of stone, he's actually using a metaphor where he refers to those monuments and buildings. So here stone actually refers to that, which is besmeared with sluttish time. Besmeared means which has become dirty with time. That means time has made that stone dirty, ugly. Now, we have to analyze these lines again. Now, why does poet refer to time as being sluttish? That is the first question here. What time has been personified here? Here, time has been personified as a slut. A slut is a woman who is disloyal, who is untrustworthy. I mean, not a woman of good character. Why poet calls her time as a slut is because that she, that's time, never stays loyal to anyone. You will not have good time always. You won't have bad time always. Your time keeps changing constantly, like a slut who today is with one man and tomorrow with another. That is the reason why Shakespeare is comparing time to a slut. He says, and he adds one more thing also here, because he is comparing her to a woman. He says that it will lose its charm and beauty after some time. And the princess and the powerful people who had got their statues erected at that time, time was in their favor. But the moment they left this earth, time, like a slut, deserted them and moved on. So as a result, their ornate monuments and statues that they got erected to perpetuate their names after their death today stand neglected, tarnished, dirty, unswept, unkempt, everything. And it is not only time, but even many other reasons that have contributed to this. We will go ahead. So I hope the meaning of this first sonnet is very clear to you. Now, let's take a look at the next lines, lines 5 to 12. When wasteful war shall statues overturn, it means when wasteful wars which are unnecessary, wasteful wars, shall statues overturn. When wars will overturn statues here means that when war will destroy statues, naturally a bomb would come and drop boom on them and the statue is gone. And broils root out the work of masonry. What is the meaning of broils? Broils are conflicts, fights among people. Root out the work of masonry. And naturally, what happens is when a broil or a conflict breaks out, people go about damaging the property. It's a very common feature. We all have seen that. So he says, Shakespeare says, when wasteful war shall over, no, I'm reading it in English and not in these lines. When wasteful wars will overturn the statues, will uproot the statues, will destroy the statues, and conflicts will destroy the masonry. Masonry is the artwork. Okay. Nor Mars his sword, nor war's quick fire shall burn the living record of your memory. That means those statues, that masonry, everything will be destroyed. But your memory, which is alive in my poem, in my rhyme, in my sonnet, in my literature, will always be alive in the minds of the people. This is what he says. Now, against death and all oblivious enmity shall you pace forth. Now, here you means the soldier. Soldier means the soldier's memory. So he says that your memory will always keep walking. Pace forth means will always keep going against death and all oblivious enmity. That means any type of enmity, your memory is capable of surviving. Your memory is capable of surviving any enmity. Oblivious means which is not clear at the moment, and even death, even the sword of, now this line number 7, I will be explaining this further in detail because it contains allusion. Okay, so he says that nothing can destroy you. Clear? Now, what does he mean by this? I'll repeat it for you so that you get the clear context of these lines. It means that when the fearful wars will topple down the statues, will uproot the buildings created by those rich and the powerful people, Shakespeare's works would survive. They would not be destroyed by anyone. Not the wars, not the broils, not even by the sword of god of war. Now here, Mars is the sword of Mars is the god of war. Okay, not even fire. Nothing can destroy the memory of you, my friend. This is what he wants to say. My sonnets will keep you alive in the minds of the people. You would certainly become immortal. Okay, why? Because the coming generation, and we are doing that right now, and the coming generation will always remember you. Right? So now let's take a close look at this line, nor Mars his sword, nor war's quick fire shall burn. In Roman mythology, Mars is the god of war. Okay, and it symbolizes conflict, destruction, violence, fighting, everything. His sword is a weapon of destruction. So Shakespeare says here that even the sword of Mars does not have the capability, nor does the fire of war. Both of them don't have the capability of burning your memory. Burning your memory here means destroying your memory. Memory, because you are immortal. Okay. I think the concept is very clear now. You have understood this? Now, he says, now let's go back once again. Yes. Against death and all oblivious enmity shall you pace forth. Your praise shall find room even in the eyes of all posterity that wear this world out to the ending doom. He says that your praise, your memory will fight against all enmity, against death, and will find place. That means will remain alive in the eyes of all posterity. Posterity means time to come. That posterity which will eventually destroy everything, like it has been destroying the statues and the monuments and everything. But those statues, monuments don't have a room. Here, room means place. So those statues and those monuments don't have room in the eyes of posterity. Posterity does not give them any space. That means does not keep them safe within itself. That's the reason why they get destroyed with time. But you, through my sonnets, through my poems, will always find a place in the eyes of posterity. And this posterity will wear this world out to the ending doom. Now, what do you mean by doom here? Now, you have to understand this word doom. Now, this doom is actually in Christianity, there is a general belief that the world would end on doomsday, and on that day, all the dead. This is even there, even in Islam also, that on doomsday, it's called Qayamat in Urdu. Okay, we don't have any such concept in Hinduism of, I mean, doomsday or the day of Qayamat, the day the world will end. So they believe that the world would end on doomsday, and that day all the dead people will rise from their graves to get their rewards and punishments. That means if you had led a good life, you will be rewarded by God or Allah in that case. And if you had led a bad life, you would be punished on doomsday. This is the belief. Okay, Shakespeare says that you will not have to face doomsday. Why? Because you're not dead. Simple. You are alive in the minds of, in the eyes of posterity, in the minds of people. So if you're not dead, how can you face the doomsday? So doomsday is the day when the earth will come to an end, right? And you will survive till that date and not have to face the consequences of doomsday, because only the dead can face the consequences. This is the meaning of why the word doom has been used here. Okay. Now, from these lines, you see, so far what has happened is, from not marble, not the gilded monuments, right up to the living record of your memory, Shakespeare is talking about destruction throughout. But here, from this line, against death and all oblivious enmity, from here Shakespeare's tone turns. It changes, it shifts. This is known as volta. Note it down. VOLTA. Volta means to turn around. Okay, it's in Latin. That's why it's called volte-face also. Wherever you get the word vault, understand that it has got something to do with turning around, shifting. So this shift, which Shakespeare takes, earlier he was talking about destruction of monuments, and now he talks about, that was the past. Now he is talking about the future, to the enduring nature. Now he is talking about what will live on. So here he starts emphasizing the power of his poetry, the victory of his poetry over those monuments and buildings. So here Shakespeare's tone shifts. And let's look at the next lines. So, till the judgment that yourself arise, you live in this world and dwell in lovers' eyes. Okay, now what does these two lines mean, the last ones? Here the poet says that on the day of judgment, that the day of judgment, doomsday that I was talking about earlier. Now, here he says that you would arise with the rest of the souls from your grave. Okay, but you will be alive till that time. You will not be dead. Why? Because you are alive even then. So you won't have to face it. In the in my works and dwell in lovers' eyes. That means in the hearts of your admirers. Of the people who love you. Though I'm fully sure that you don't love Shakespeare at all. But this is what he says. Okay, so till the judgment that yourself arise, you live in these days. You will get up, but you will go unrewarded, unpunished, because you are alive. Such is the power of poetry. Clear? Now, with this, we finish this poetry, this simple sonnet. And now let's analyze this entire sonnet critically. So let's do a small critical analysis of this sonnet. Can be asked in the exam. So this sonnet opens the reader's eyes to a great truth of life, that nothing in life is permanent. Nothing in life is permanent except the permanence that one achieves through literature, through staying alive in the minds of the people. So, if you want to stay alive forever, always stay in the minds of people. Even today, you see, how many great people have taken birth? If I ask you to recall some famous personalities who lived hundreds or thousands of years ago, you will be able to name a number of them. No doubts. Let's take examples. Shivaji, Vikramaditya, Chandragupta Maurya, Chanakya, and uh, let's go still. Okay, let's take Alexander the Great also. Let's take Jesus Christ also for that matter. But I shouldn't be taking, okay, he's considered God, not a person. And you can take any number of names. Okay, they all. Why do you remember them today? Swami Vivekananda, if you take latest also. Okay, fine. Mahatma Gandhi also, closest. Why do you remember them? It was not because they had their statues and monuments built. It was because they had their deeds, their nature, their character, their accomplishments are all etched in the minds of the people. Even today, you talk about a king who lived long, long, long ago. Though, agreed, he was a reincarnation of God. I'm talking about Lord Ram. We take his name even today. Isn't it? We all know who Yudhishthir is. We all know who Arjun is. We all know who Karna is. We know all those names. Why do we know all those names? Because their names are alive in your mind. That is the meaning of this sonnet. So, no point in creating statues and monuments to keep your memory alive. Remember Ozymandias? That's what he did, isn't it? So, if you are asked to compare Ozymandias and this sonnet, you can very easily compare. Ozymandias is a very clear-cut example or answer to this sonnet. To vast, trunkless, and all that stuff. Remember, you could say that probably Shakespeare wrote this sonnet after looking at the statue of Ozymandias. I'm just kidding. No. Okay. So now you totally get the idea when you read these two poems together. When you read these two poems together, you clearly get an idea of the similarity, of the connection between the two. Okay, now let's take a look at the themes of the poem. Okay, I'll be mentioning them in the description box. The first one you can say is immortality through art. That is the central theme, that art is immortal. I mean, or you could put it in the negative way, that nothing except art is immortal. You can write on that. I don't need to elaborate. If you need to elaborate this point, just rewatch the video and you will get the same sense. And in case you are asked this question, that you have to, mention. So now here, take down these lines that I'm mentioning. Go to line 1. Not marble, nor the gilded monuments. Not marble, nor the gilded monuments. This line clearly talks about mortality of these things. You could quote another line also, the living record of your memory, line 8. The living record of your memory, this line. Quote these lines with your answer. These lines, not marble nor the gilded monuments of princes shall outlive this powerful rhyme. This is the central theme. Quote this line. The living record of your memory shall burn the living record of your memory. This suggests immortality. That is the central theme. Remember to quote this line 1 and line 8 in support of your answer. Then it also talks about the transience of material wealth and human achievements. He says that all the physical monuments, all human accomplishments. Now here, human accomplishments, he is not talking about the personal accomplishments, but he's talking about the monuments and the statues and the things built by people. Here the reference is to that. That's what I'm referring to, which war or fire or anything can destroy. Even small conflicts can destroy it. It is not permanent. If not, then time, of course, is steadily at work to destroy them. Okay, now in support of this point, you can refer, line 3, 4. But you shall shine more bright in these contents than unswept stone. I'm talking about this line. Okay, so this line says that this is what is intransient. It will not pass away. Okay, and the next line that you can quote is this also. When wasteful war and this one, and so on, this complete thing. So this also says that everything except literature, poetry, is transient, will pass away. Clear? So you can, these are the examples. Then the third one is the power of memory and praise. That is very central to this. Because this sonnet has been written with this intention only, because he has promised his friend that you will be celebrated by the future generations for times immemorial. Okay, your memory will keep living. Physically, you may not be alive. Okay, so this line now, how and in support of these lines, you can say, nor Mars his sword, and you can quote these lines that, see, even Mars cannot destroy your memory. This is in support of this line. Then you can write this line, that your praise shall still find room even in the eyes of all posterity. That your memory will keep living. This is also a central theme of the poem. Some people even say war and destruction also is a central theme of this poem, but I don't see why. Of course, it is one of the things that has been mentioned. War and, yes, Shakespeare says that war and destruction damage things. But that is not the intention. When you talk about the central theme of a poem, it means the intention or the hidden themes written here. War and destruction is not. Destruction, yes, it is a central theme. This is what I said in the first theme, that what? Immortality through art. That means art is immortal and nothing else is immortal. So with this, we end even the central theme of this poem. And now you can look at the rhyming structure. The rhyming structure is very simple of this. See, it is A, B, A, B. Moments, contents, rhyme, time, A, B, A, B. Again, you have turn, burn, masonry, memory, A, B, A, B, enmity, austerity, room, doom. So A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B is going on. Right? The last one is A. Arise, ice. They rhyme. So you got even the rhyme structure. It's very clear. What is the tone of the poem? Now, this question can be asked. The tone of the poem is one which is full of confidence and it's triumphant. That means it's victorious. Shakespeare has full confidence in his poetry that it will survive till posterity. So the poem has got a very confident tone. It has also got a reverential tone also. It has got a reverential tone also. Why? Because he has deep respect for his friend who passed away, in whose memory he has written this. So the tone of this poem is, if you look at these lines, I mean the complete thing, you can see two things going on very clearly here. That here he says that when he talks about all this, but he doesn't say you will shine, you shall shine. That is confidence. And in this also, he is confident that wars and Mars and broils, nothing can harm. Okay, this is confidence. And when he says that you shall shine here, you shall shine here, burn the living record of your memory, gain I pray your praise shall still find room. Now this is full of reverence, respect for his friend. Okay, you can quote these examples there in case you are asked a question on this. And now let us take a look at the most important part and the one which waiting for. Okay, figures of speech. Let's trace the figures of speech. Okay, in lines 1. Yes, in line 1, you can find marble, monuments, alliteration. Marble, I'm talking about line 1, marble, and monuments, you can find alliteration. It's very clearly visible. And in line 2, you can find princess and powerful, again alliteration. Princess powerful, oops. Princess powerful, again there is alliteration in line 2 also. In line 3, you can see shall shine. Again, there is alliteration here also. This is also an alliteration. And then comes line 4, which says, unswept stone, than unswept stone besmeared with sluttish time. The sound of T is too high. Swept, stone, sluttish, time. Consonants. The consonant T, ta, is heard a number of times. So this is consonants, and there is imagery also present in this line. I'm talking about this line. Why imagery is because when you read these lines, the dirty stones, which are unkempt and ugly, an image forms in your mind. So yes, you can call it imagery also. And then when you talk about sluttish time, then you're clearly personifying. You see, when I was speaking about time, I was referring to time as sheep. So here time has been personified as a slut. Okay. And then let's come to the next line, line 5. Yes, we have when wasteful war. You have alliteration, which is very clearly present here also. And there is one more figure of speech also here. When wasteful war shall statues overturn, that means when wasteful wars overturn statues. Now, that means war has been given a human attribute of being able to overturn things, destroy things. So, war has been personified here. There's a figure of, war is personified. So, personification is also there. Same is the case with line 6. Again, imagery is also there. Even there is imagery here. The moment you read this line, you know that you can imagine a statue falling to smithereens, blowing to smithereens, or falling to pieces. And broils root out the work of misery. Imagery is also there. And here also broils root out. Root out means to pull out. In other words, that means to destroy. So broil conflicts are also personified here. They are carrying the human quality of destruction, of course. And then in line 7, there is an allusion to Mars. Allusion is a figure of speech where you are referring to someone in a historical context, or when you are referring to someone here. So Mars is again here is a historical or mythological allusion, you can call it. Then the living shall burn the living record of your memory. Now, what is the meaning of shall burn the living record of your memory? What is it exactly referring to? Here, the living record of memory is the poem, the sonnet, which is that friend's living record. So, metaphor is involved here. The poetry is being not called poetry, but the living record of your memory. Okay, so metaphor is present here. And then let's go to the next lines. I don't find any gains, death and all of believe is enmity. Shall you pace forth your even in the eyes of all posterity? Yes, you have an alliteration here where this world, W and W, wow, wow, where world. Yes, you have that also. And here you can find assonance also. Live in this, in lovers, I sound is too predominant. So assonance, you can call this line. With that, we end the figures of speech also in this line. So to conclude this poem, we have seen how Shakespeare has uses vivid imagery, powerful metaphors, and a confident tone that poetry can preserve. Poetry here means art and literature, can preserve memory far beyond the physical monuments which are present in the world. Okay, so the central themes of this poem, which is immortality through art and impermanence of time, all that I have spoken about. Okay, now after this, go to the description box. I've given you questions there. Answer them, get them evaluated, by your teacher or your tutor or anyone, and note down the mistakes that you have made, correct them, don't repeat them, and go and secure good marks in the examination. May you be rewarded for all your efforts. Thank you.